I'm anti-vaccine.
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 I am not vaccinated and I haven't been vaccinated. And I have 2 kids, they haven't been vaccinated either, and that's all vaccines.
The whole COVID pandemic kind of woke me up.
It feels like discrimination when I tell people I'm anti-vax or I haven't been vaccinated.
I'm a pharmacist, and when they put in with the COVID vaccination, I just felt really uncomfortable. It's just made me open my eyes to how many things are in vaccines and how much we don't discuss them in the medical community.
My anti is toward COVID vaccines. Actually, truth be told, the rapid test we just took was the first COVID test I've ever taken. I refused to take a COVID test. The vaccine was pushed so that they could rig the election, and that's personally my belief.
So you believe the election was rigged?
I believe it was, yes.
Cool.
Growing up, I got most of my vaccines. However, I especially did not want to get the COVID vaccine. The media censorship was the biggest start to me, kind of like he said, waking up to this.
We know ourselves better than going into a doctor who only sees us for a few minutes at a time.
You said you were a pharmacist?
Yeah.
Did you leave your work? You kind of implied that. I don't know if you actually did.
With the increase of the vaccine mandate and having it required for the rest of the chain. So I actually have a family member that does work from home from an independent mail order pharmacy, and she got me a gig there. And since then, things have been pretty chill.
So you left willingly, they didn't like ask you to leave?
Yeah.
So I started as a teacher in elementary school, and they actually asked me to leave because it was mandated that you had to be vaccinated to be in like a group of kids. So that was really frustrating for me because working with kids is a big passion of mine. And the fact that I was fired from my career just because of a personal choice is like really upsetting to me.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm very passionate about this issue now.
I was actually asked to leave nursing school. I started for a month and then they accepted my religious exemption, and then a month into it said never mind. So
Yeah, I lucked out because I go to college in Oregon, and at first they were like, no, you can't come in here without a vaccine and everything, but I was able to get the philosophical exemption, and then they wanted to test me weekly, and I was like, no, like I'm not doing that. And then after kind of going back and forth, they were like, okay, like you're fine.
I wrote Brian because in the waiting room we were joking that his name was Brian and not Ryan, and then
That's okay.
Okay.
he was able to get a philosophical exemption, which I had never heard of.
There's no way you could get away with not having a COVID test.
Most people have gone through at least one by now. We've been like 2 years in.
I could not believe that I got voted out first round. If anybody is the mole, it's not me, that's for sure.
How has not being vaccinated affected like your guys' personal relationships, like friends and family?
I had to miss a wedding that I was really excited for one of my friends back in Indiana. She ultimately decided to ask everyone to be vaccinated because her grandparents were there, which I completely understood, but it was really heartbreaking to not be a part of that special day with her.
Yeah.
One side of my family refused to see me, so that was kind of disheartening. And I feel like people tie certain political views to my personal idea not to get vaccinated. I'm not a right-wing extremist, which I feel like a lot of people are associating me with. I am not just someone who is not vaccinated. I actually have natural immunity. I have contacted the virus before, and multiple studies have shown that natural immunity actually lasts longer as far as resilience to contacting COVID again. The right to our own body is the opposite of tyranny that would normally be associated with that.
Yeah, I'm very libertarian leaning.
Heck
so
yeah.
My ideas aren't like I line up with a Republican or Democrat. For me, it's
Yes.
just we should have the ability to decide what we want to do.
Yeah, and I just think it's scary too when the government starts to say like they're doing this for your own health and their safety, and it's just funny like how all of a sudden the government started caring about your health. Wouldn't they have banned like smoking cigarettes years ago? Like it just seemed like a lot of censorship too, like to not be able to like find any other information about like side effects. I have a few friends who had like some bad side effects, but you can't, once you post that out there, it's censored.
Even the VAERS report, there's thousands of reports
Yes.
of people with like vaccine side effects, and people pretend like that's not a reality.
And I think it's interesting how they care about our health and everything, but they say nothing about nutrition, sunlight, working out, going to the gym, getting outside, and being around people that love you and stuff like that. Like that's good for your health. Instead, they lock us in a room with like artificial lighting and paint and don't get sunlight and don't get to talk to people. Yeah, and then they put a mask on us, which is not healthy at all.
Nico was throwing out a lot of buzzwords. He kept saying pandemic, and I think he said jab. Very much so it looked like he was making a character, and he was really trying to hit all the buttons. I was teaching first grade, and a lot of those kids, because of the COVID lockdowns, they had never had any social experience for the past 2 years. And to act like that isn't detrimental to their social health, to their mental health, it very frustrates me.
What?
San Bernardino County.
Okay.
I was saying I personally don't think that it's really anybody's business if
Yeah.
I've been vaccinated or not. And I don't think that I should not be able to go certain places, eat certain places, or even enroll my kids in school because they haven't been vaccinated. It's just not, it's not fair, and it's like really nobody's business. It's my health, you know.
You said none of your kids don't have any vaccines, right?
I
How did
have-
that affect
I've never
them,
had-
like getting into school?
Well, they're 3 and 2
Oh,
months,
okay.
so
Okay.
they're not old enough yet. But yeah, I haven't been vaccinated either, and it hasn't affected me in any way. When I get sick for like 1 or 2 days, and then I'm done. I'm back healthy, and I only get sick maybe like 2 times a year.
You said that you moved down to California?
Yeah, yesterday.
I'm trying to get out.
Yesterday.
I'm trying to get out of California.
Yeah, no,
so
me
why
too,
did you
yeah.
move to California if it's so hard to go
For
places
sure,
without
yeah.
vaccines?
So lived in Texas for like 10 years. Then I moved to Oregon for school. And then I got a job offer as an internship here in California. And honestly, like, yeah, all the mandates and everything I don't like, but I mean, it's California. It's kind of like that kind of the dream to come and live here, so.
I'm trying to switch with you. I want to go to Texas, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
Yeah.
I'll
be
take your
back
old
soon,
spot.
for
I'll take
sure.
your own spot.
Yeah.
He went to university in Oregon and somehow wasn't required to get vaccinated there.
Why would someone move from a more conservative area to a liberal area if they were anti-vax?
Bungalow after.
If you think the mole is still in the box and you'd like to continue playing the game, please raise your hand.
Can I ask who everybody voted for in the elections?
I voted for. Oh, you're talking about the actual election?
Yes.
Oh, I voted for Trump. Again, like I'm libertarian. That isn't really my. I'm not a Republican, but he definitely was a better choice over what we have now.
What about everybody else?
Yeah, I'm libertarian as well, and I actually believe that neither of the candidates were good, and I did not feel comfortable supporting either of them, so I did not vote.
Right, I didn't vote either. I haven't voted in like 2 years.
I haven't voted either. I felt really uncomfortable with just how nasty everything was getting. Everything kept getting more increasingly cloudy, I felt like, as the election came closer and closer. So I just didn't feel like I had enough information regarding either of them to confidently cast a ballot.
I get that. I mean, they're both really divisive, but like, you know, the effects matter. And like seeing especially what's going on now, I mean, we might not like either of the candidates. One of them's getting in, and we got to do our best, you know, to get the least of two evils. I think that is important.
I mean, I personally voted for Trump. I actually worked on his campaign because I actually do. I don't like everything he says, but I like his policies, and I believe that he allows people to live their lives and doesn't try to get involved with all of your business.
Wait, so you said you worked on his campaign? Did you guys didn't have to get vaccinated for that, or?
So that was a 2016
That was
campaign.
2016, okay, okay.
I don't think he would have required it for the 2021, but I would work to the 2016 one, didn't do anything for the 2020.
Asabi, I wanted to ask you more about your stance because we mentioned earlier that in general you don't feel like it's anyone's business. We kind of touched on autonomy. I wanted to hear more about why you specifically decide not to vaccinate yourself and your children.
So I grew up very religious, I guess you could say. In my belief, like vaccines are like a no-go. Like we don't believe that we should put like poison in our bodies, and like we think that we should just handle everything in a holistic way. So
She was like, religious reasons? Is she thinking about this on the spot?
And 1 Corinthians 2:5 says, you know, our faith shouldn't be trusted in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God.
exactly.
And so for me, it's like, that doesn't mean that like man has ultimate wisdom, but like what they try to push of like, this is what you need to do, like that automatically throws red flags for me.
He used a Bible verse for me that was like, okay, he believes in kind of like the same thing I believe in. Biblically speaking, for me, it's like back when, you know, in Pharaoh's in those days, they were killing babies. And then with the vaccine, it's like, I just don't trust it because you're trying to mandate something that could possibly harm or kill someone. And
As a
just like
pharmacist, I know how much Big Pharma puts money in this
And the left for so long has been, oh, we're against Big Pharma.
I was
And then
gonna
all of a
say
sudden
that.
they jump
I was
in and
gonna
it's like,
say that.
everyone needs to listen to what Pfizer says. Everyone needs to listen to what Moderna and J&J says.
She said that she was very much into the pharmaceutical industry.
She kind of said she wasn't very political, and I feel like at this point, it is kind of a political statement if you are not vaccinated.
If you feel like the mole is still in the box and you'd like to continue playing the game, please raise your hand. You need a majority vote, and since it's just the two of you, instead we're going to ask, can you share your suspicions? Let's air it out and let's have a conversation.
I know it was Nico. That's number one.
Yeah.
Just because I think he was throwing out buzzwords, like he developed a character.
And he also talked about how he didn't have to get the vaccine at first in Oregon.
Go to college in Oregon.
I was pretty confident it was Nico. I don't know who the other person would be. I don't suspect anyone else.
I think it was Ryan too, honestly. Because Ryan, when he first said, this is the first COVID test I've ever taken. I trust you. I do trust you, but you do seem very much like you've researched a lot.
Neither of you guys voted also in the election, you said, correct?
Right.
I do find that kind of interesting just because I feel like it is so polarized.
I'm totally with you on that mentality, but like just being around a lot of libertarian circles, there are a lot of people, and you guys both kind of said you're libertarian, right?
I honestly don't really have a strong political view, honestly.
Where we are now in the world, it almost is a statement to not be vaccinated. Now it's not just like, oh, I wasn't provided enough information. You can go to CVS and get it for free. You are kind of making a political statement whether you like it or not if you aren't vaccinated.
I assume most of us don't agree with the mainstream media or like watch a lot of that because obviously there's a narrative that's pushed there. So I was gonna ask, what type of media outlets do you guys consume?
Follow the Daily Wire, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens. Those are probably like the people I listen to the most.
The Daily Wire I've had a little bit of trouble with because Ben Shapiro has really like promoted vaccines.
Yeah, I disagree with that part.
I like Candace Owens, but yeah, I don't know. I've kind of gone on and off with Ben Shapiro. But I like Steven Crowder. I like Dr. Robert Malone, Hank Pecker. There's a lot of different streamers and media outlets that I think do push a more like you should be able to choose what you want for your own body.
She worked in the medical field, and that is an area where you do have to typically be vaccinated.
I think being anti-vax is a big political statement, so that looked a little off to me.
I was pretty bummed. I thought I had spoken pretty well about my beliefs, so I was surprised.
If the lights turn red, that means a mole is still in the box and you lose. If the lights turn green, that means you have voted the mole out and you win.
It's not me. It's you.
It's you. It's gotta be you.
I think it's Maddie.
So on the count of 3, I'm gonna ask the 2 moles to step out and reveal themselves. 1, 2, 3.
I should have known it was Mason.
Going into it, I was like, okay, he and I are in we have an alliance. Like, we're good. He definitely sold me, so, like, well done, my friend.
I'm very politically engaged, so I've had a lot of conversations with people just about, you know, whether or not people should get vaccines, whether or not there should be government mandates, that type of thing. I've heard a lot of opinions on both sides. My goal here was to kind of just be really subtle about it and to kind of just sow doubt in the vaccine, not really take a hard stance of like pandemic or like microchips, you know, that extreme wing, because I don't think anyone really here is on that, you know, spectrum.
Honestly, I said that because I was trying to get some points because I thought, like, if I say pandemic, I'm good to go.
Yeah, I'm a pharmacist. I actually was a part of the initial movement to vaccinate. I went to nursing homes, put vaccine in arms. A big part of my experience with that is just seeing how much of a toll COVID has taken on my fellow healthcare workers. I have people that work in the ED and see how tragic that is. One of my closest friends actually lost her father to COVID. There's a lot of data in medicine that I question all the time. As a person of color and as a woman, I know how much the data is against people like me being treated. But the vaccine is something that I've seen time and time again that I don't typically question. The data just stands for me, so I stand with it.
I really do understand why a lot of people are concerned with how far can government reach and what does that mean for the common people? Where do we draw the line? I think that is genuinely a super important conversation to have.
Most people who are skeptical of the vaccine are either consuming that from certain media outlets or just people that are around them really pushing that idea. If we as people who think vaccines are important don't actually interact with them, they're just kind of stuck in that bubble, and that's not helpful for anybody. High fives around, high fives around. Oh yeah, I love this. I'm always ready.